Good afternoon, viewers of the Civic Space TV. I'm your host, Ninsiima, and today we are talking about road safety. Whose responsibility is it? Joining me is a great panel of very experienced and I would say hands-on road safety activists, and they'll be taking us through. I will invite them to introduce themselves, and then we start. Let me start with Mr. Joseph.
Hello, good evening, viewer. It's a great honor for me to be here, talk about road safety. Road safety is something everyone must take serious. And I'm here, and let's see how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joel. Andrew, are you able to introduce yourself?
Good evening from my walk in Safeway Arms, so no worries. It's a village where I have blinders that detect traffic from behind and right ahead of me. So good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me on this call at the right time, just when we are just done with an awareness to that walk to Mbale last week. So I'm glad to be here and looking forward to hearing insights from you guys. Cheers.
Thank you, Andrew. Let me now welcome Mr. Joe Walker.
Hi. Oh, what's up, guys? Good to hear from me, Joe Walker, and great to have this conversation with you guys.
Good to have you. We are glad. And before you go off, actually, let me start with you, Mr. Joe Walker. We understand you have been on this for quite some time. You did the Stay in Your Lane campaign, then you made the walk to Ushenyi, and now you just returned from Mbale. Are there any impact that the campaigns have caused or they are causing? Mr. Joga.
Thank you very much. The fact that we are having this conversation, the fact that we are spending time, the fact that you as a media outlet, you've chosen to just talk about road safety, that already is an impact. Before that, road safety was shelved to some few groups of people, and there was hardly any conversation. There was a group from ACME, the Africa Center for Media Excellence, which tracks where road safety has been reported in the last 1 year, and they compare with the year before. We have a 40% increase. We had a 40% increase last year. I don't want to claim the credit, but definitely in there was the contribution of Joe Walker, the walk to Ushenyi. And before that, definitely, I'm sure some of it was triggered by the things we are doing at Nation Media Group of Stay in Your Lane. So yes, there's impact in terms because our main focus, Joe Walker, our main focus is to raise awareness, not that we are telling people what doesn't exist, but tell people what exists and then let them know whose responsibility is it. Is it a responsibility of the government? Is it a responsibility of the rider? Each one of us has a responsibility. So in terms of creating awareness, I would say we are moving the needle.
Thank you so much. That's great news right there. I'll go to the guy on the road. Andrew, you have done various sports and now you're into walking. How is it? What's the difference have you encountered, especially on your 6 days journey to Mbale, compared to other sports that you have ever done before?
Okay, so of course I've done several sports, not at an elite level, just for personal health. And I thought the Mbale walk for me was something that would actually show more what I can do, what my body can do, what my mind can do. And I thank Joe when I talked to him in November last year. I thought, well, Mbale, we can do it. And because I had done earlier, that's in 2020, a walk to Entebbe with friends, I thought I can do it. But then again, I noticed the walk to Entebbe was 42 kilometers. And here we're talking about 240 kilometers. And Joe gave me confidence that actually I could do it if I did the one of Entebbe without training. And in this one, I could do it. So he shared with me a month-long training program, which I followed to the detail. And once we started, to be honest with you, I didn't suffer. The only discomfort I had was on the fourth day with a very, minimal blister which I managed with Vaseline. Again, thanks to Joe for the notes before I had to get Vaseline to apply on all susceptible areas. And I just managed it. By the final day, the blister wasn't there. So for me, I have to say, my body always kept telling me you can go even further. And I could actually have continued if we had the way. It was only the general fatigue of the feet, which is normal for everyone who walks, and that would be managed overnight. But I was really happy because not.
Okay, we will get back to Andrew shortly. Now let me bring in Joel. Joel, you are a photographer. I'm sure you have done events, you've been at birthday parties, at weddings, and you can mention it. You've done portraits, you've done everything in photography. But now, here you were doing the photography while on duty. And then you would have to take the photos, yet you were working. What was your experience compared to other events that you have ever done?
Thank you so much, Lucky, again. It's a privilege to be talking about something that the entire world is talking about, road safety. And from the eyes of the lens as a photographer, yes, indeed, it was a different experience altogether. But I've always been telling myself that I can even do more. It was about challenging myself to do more, to keep pushing. Having cameras that have a total of about 5 kgs, and then you have to run forward because remember, when the walk started, after the flagging off that early morning, people had already set their minds on reaching a certain destination per minute. And then some of us, remember people were joining in, then you have to run and meet the first team. But again, you have to come back and meet the chief walker, who is actually trying to be in the middle of things. Journalists are stopping him, please give us a comment before you go. And then, unlike the other walkers, Joe kept staying back or kept being pulled back because people want to congratulate him. Oh, yes, we hear you. We've been seeing you on TV. So you want to capture that moment as people talk, and then you have to run again, and then you have to step back, and then you have to use your mind, which is the best shot. Of course, it was so tiring, and but it was a good experience. When the first episode of Kampala to Bushenyi, when I heard of this, many people, of course, were saying this is suicide and da. But it was like 2 days later, we hear, oh, these guys are in Bushenyi. And I was like, oh my God, how come I didn't take part? Oh my God, next time I hear about this, I want to be a part. And so this time I was like, no, I don't want to regret why I didn't take on this task. So it was really, really pushing my body to the limits, and I know how much I can. And I know if I give it time, I can do better. With my weight, it really got something out of me. I'm suffering a few things with my feet, but it was a good experience, and it was very special. And talking about issues like road safety, it really was special in that kind of sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing the special events that you captured along the walk. Andrew, you dropped off a bit, but just to pick your mind, comparing walking with other sports, what do you think that sports people should do more in relation to road safety?
What more can we do? I think as sports people, if you know, sports people always attract, following. So seeing the things you do, I knew anyone can walk, anyone can run, but when you tag a coach to it like Joe did with the Joe Walker and road safety, then the communication reaches out really well. And also, Joe Walker and road safety as a whole, we are lucky that this campaign has professionals that have a voice wherever they are. We have those in civil society, you know, we have different professions, and then us in the media. So we use this and go beyond the walking and doing the sports and bring the message closer home. From wherever we are, we have different platforms, and like I said, we are lucky that we are in the places where the message can be got. So every one of us who participated and those who followed can play their small role in their spaces, and we don't have to stop because the walk ended. That was a walk for the cause, but we always walk every day. We can continue walking by living as an example, how we drive, you know, how we conduct ourselves. So it's a message that is quite, I would say it comes off naturally because you don't have to force it. And once you leave it yourself, then it just goes off, it rubs off other people. So just in simple terms for me, we're in the right places and we can influence decision makers. I was happy listening to Sarah Narule, the team manager of Joe Walker, when she said feedback will be, you know, presented to Parliament and lawmakers to see what can be captured from the information that we got from road communities. So in that, if 1 or 2 points are captured, and then we move on. So we just have to continue, we don't have to stop. But I always tell people, as beyond road safety, there is that very beautifully selfish motivation. It's for you. You've got to keep healthy. I call it a lifestyle. I have no time of when I stop. I just have to continue until God calls me. For me, this is the beautiful thing. I do it for me, although others rub off it.
Oh, wow, thank you so much. I'm sure God is not yet about to call you. We still need you here. So let me pick your mind, Joseph, Joe Walker. Oh, don't you think this whole campaign is a bit risky for yourself, especially comparing the roads and what you feel and experience while you're out there? Why, of all campaigns, did you pick on this one?
Well, I guess I thank you very much, and I think we take a bigger risk if we choose silence. I think we take a bigger risk. I think we take a bigger risk when we choose not to feel other people's pain, and by choosing silence and stay away from the road. Look, more than 33% of the victims of the road crashes are pedestrians. But before I give you the number of the victims, if you look at I'll give you an example of Kampala. More than 50% of the people that come in and out of the city are pedestrians. So me choosing to stay in the comfort of that metallic box called the car and not stepping out to feel what other people feel and raise and shed the spotlight onto their situation, I think that's a bigger risk. One of the big lawyers in this town, and I call him big because I respect him, Senior Counsel Daudi Mpanga, I'm paraphrasing what he said. He said, not until we develop a central nervous system that feels what everybody feels, that we will get a society and a country that we desire. So not until we feel the pain of the pedestrians, not until we feel the pain of somebody who's driving in their car, actually they are crashed, not until we feel the pain of a motorcyclist who, you know, we need to feel each other's pain so that we get the society that we desire. So for me, I choose that risk, if you call it the risk, because to step on the road and do the walk, I call that a lesser risk than being taking a bigger risk of silence. So there's no risk in what we are doing. It's what everybody should do. And as Andrew put it, you don't have to walk. You need to just step out and demand for better. Demand for better from the government, demand for better from fellow road users, demand for better from each one of us. Look, today I was at school and I saw mayhem. This was at between 6:15 and 6:30 a.m. Guys, the way they were driving, you'd think, what's happening? We are driving in a school compound. You are driving in that car with the kids. What kind of example are you showing the kids? What lessons are you giving the kids? what will become of these kids when they grow up? You know, as parents, you know, kids think they think of the world of us. But when we drive like lumpens, like idiots and all that, then the kids will say, yeah, that's how people do it. And then you can imagine what kind of beasts we are rearing. So the risk of us being silent, doing nothing, is way bigger than the risk of stepping on the road. I know it looks scary to somebody who is not walking, but you know, you take the necessary precautions and you'll be safe, just like somebody who's driving. So the bigger risk is silence.
Thank you so much, Joseph. That was elaborate. I can't add a thing. If we keep silent, we will surely die. Joel, during your walk, you had physical eyes like us, but you had the lenses. And I understand you guys in photography have a way of capturing things that a naked eye would miss. What did you observe while you were there on the road?
Quite a number of things that I observed. But above all, especially after being really close to Joe, hearing people talking, and then what we see on the road, I discovered that everyone thinks it's everyone else's duty, you know? And I discovered that we need to do a lot of mass education because people have given up. They're like, then what else can we do? Because take a scenario. I've discovered that there is no pothole on the route we took that came overnight. Most of the potholes on our roads keep expanding, they keep growing. And what does this mean? That we know where the potholes are and the dangerous ones, because most of the drivers that drive on our roads are almost drivers of those particular roads. So they know where the spots are that actually cause the crashes, but then they give up on life, because when you meet them and you point your camera at them, they're saying, the roads are bad, the government doesn't take care of this. You know the roads are bad. You know the spots where these crashes are taking place time and time and again. But still, you're reckless. So the mindset, people give up on life. So we need, that's what I observed clearly and vividly in my lenses, that people have given up. Because look, you are walking, and I don't want to mention, but I have to, because this was evident. Three drones are literally racing. Joe calls it flying. These guys are flying. Why are you flying? And in a corner, and they are racing. And it happens again and again and again. So people have given up. We are so much in a rush. I don't know to where. Is it to our death or something? There is this little saying that, oh, I don't want to say it, but people have given up on life. They are calling on government. And I wish they see the most big thing that I noticed that I want them to see, I don't know how I'm going to do it, is that actually people who are in authority are not the people dying on our roads. If we, the common person down here, understand this, maybe our roads are going to be better. The people in authority are not the people dying on our roads. The people on our roads, the people in authority use sirens when they're going to use the road. But we walk in the night, we do this, we're the vulnerable group. So I noticed that people need to be told time and again that it's their lives that they are losing and it's their responsibility. I noticed people give up on life. People are reckless. People don't even know. People don't know which side to walk on the road. And that was very bad.
Yeah, thank you so much. A sad lifestyle that we live in, especially on the roads. It's quite absurd. Joe Walker, I'd like to pick your mind. What did you see on the Mbale walk that was similar to the Ushenyi walk? That is similar to the walks that you've done around the city, because I understand you really walk. What kind of lifestyle is out there, or what state is the infrastructure in? Joe Walker.
So you're asking two questions. One is the infrastructure, that's the condition of the roads. And
yes.
Two, it's the driver behavior. I'll start with the driver behavior. The driver behavior is, and I don't want to re-echo what Joe has said, but you question yourself, what's the rush? And if you go into the mathematics of how much time you gain by driving so fast, like for example, the guy driving at 140 kilometers per hour versus the guy driving at between 80 and 100. If you are driving over 200 kilometers, the difference you will make is not more than 30 minutes. You want to get ahead of somebody by over 30 minutes. But if you think about how much you will save in how much fuel you use, the guy driving at 140 definitely uses way more fuel than the guy at driving at 80 to 100. And then if you look at the risk you expose yourself to, dude, most of our roads are designed to take maximum speed 100 kilometers per hour. Most of our roads, if not all of them, we don't have any road that is 120. So you are driving your car, I don't know the condition it's in, on a road that is not designed for that speed. So basically you are basically setting yourself up to just burn, to crash and burn. So driver behavior, that's overspeeding. Two, reckless driving. Guys cutting into corners. I don't want to use Joel's words. I mean, cutting into corners like there's no business. Inconsiderate use of vehicles, inconsiderate use of other road users. Guys are driving, it's clear there are humps, it is marked school zone, or even if it's the road sign is not there, you can see. You are driving through an urban center where you are required to drop your speed down to 50. Somebody's flying past in 100 plus, so not taking care of the people in that area. This is both the government cars, private cars, and public service vehicles, PSVs that call them taxis. Then you come to borders, it's just chaotic. It looks like we are all breastfed by same woman, and it's like it's running through our genes. So our behavior is really, really, really bad, and then exposes us to anything on the road. So that's on the driver behavior. So I don't know if people are high on crack, but whatever they are high on, it's definitely not good stuff. So we need to check our behavior. We need to remember that it's dangerous. It's putting your life in danger. It's putting the life of other road users in danger. It's putting the life of school kids in danger. Come on, whenever you're passing and you're overspeeding past a school zone, school area, just think about your own kid. If you have no kid, think about yourself when you're at that age. Would you have loved your life to be cut short at that age? Would you have lived to see what you've enjoyed today? Think about the young people. They are too young to die. And then on the second question of the infrastructure, I would say with more than 50% of people really pedestrians, and over 60% in the country where people still walk from one point to another. And seeing that we have more than 98% of the country still relies on roads for movement. The road transport is still the most used means of transport. Our road infrastructure really does not take care of every road user. If we gave you, for example, where we walked and the road to Mbari, The moment you reach Nakawa, that's where the safe infrastructure for pedestrians stops, the pedestrian walkways. They stop in Nakawa, just at the lights. And then after that, from Nakawa all the way up to almost to Gazi Namaojoro, there is nowhere for pedestrians to walk. And even the one from Rugazi, it's just short. After that, you enter into Mawera Forest, it's mayhem. And then from Jinja on the Iga, from Jinja to Magamaga, it's just, I don't even know how to call it. And then the next point you find anything that is sensible is when you get on the Tninyu Road all the way to Mbai. But even there, the way the guys are driving, you're only safe when there's an oncoming car. If there's no oncoming car, you're scared more of the cars coming from behind, overtaking, just sweeping you off the road. So the road infrastructure, a lot desires, a lot to be done to make it safe for every user. And it's not something that is beyond us. It's just only we lack the will to make it happen. That's what I observed. Yeah, I keep it there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Andrew, what did you feel while you were on that 6 days walk? And what did you see?
Thank you very much, Lucky. Thank you, Joe and Joel. Joel, I love your office. So what did I see? Now, I think we almost saw the same things as Joe. For me, the fact that when the roads are being made, there's a lot of narrow-mindedness from the policymakers and the people who sanction the construction of these roads. Because what they do is basically put space where the car can pass. The pedestrians, take care of yourselves. They are so narrow, it's really, the Jinja Iganga Road. I remember Joel telling me when we caught up on the walk that actually there's a car that just came from his blind side and he could feel the wind on his left arm as the car whizzed past. Now, it was overtaking in the space of an oncoming car. So the driver of that car, the careless driver of that car, actually had to look for space for himself. But in doing so, he was collecting the pedestrian. So mainly when we can say, yes, granted, as drivers, we are indisciplined ourselves on the road. And I'm speaking for those that are indisciplined, which are who are the majority, you could argue, because it's seen the way people behave in traffic. But the roads, they're too narrow. And even the beautiful Mbale Tirinyi stretch that Joel is talking about, it was one of those that we enjoyed, but even the markings are wrong. There's a point where we reached and it was 34 kilometers to Mbale. We walk another kilometer or two, and the next marking was saying 36 kilometers to Mbale. Now, I was wondering, are we walking backwards or not? So those small things. And then, of course, the people who vandalize, you know, the road markings, the studs, some of them are stolen. I don't know where they take them. Then at some schools, you know, cattle crossing and all, some of those signages are not there. So there are basics that call into question the people who sanction and do these things. So overall, everyone has a responsibility. The pedestrian for your own safety, the driver to be considerate. Consideration is one of those things that, being considerate is one of those things that is not in abundant supply. But if it was, I think would be in a better place. So drivers have to take the first responsibility, but we've got to call on the policymakers, the people who collect our taxes and who make decisions on our behalf, to really fit into their shoes and do what's best for us.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you so much. Joel, I understand you do some work on the road and you've been in the road safety campaign for quite some time. What are those things that are really placing down there? the things that Omuntu Wawansi is going through, that the drivers, the border guys, the pedestrians, what are the things that are down there on the grounds where you've been?
Lucky, thank you again. And Andrew, thank you for the compliment. This is my home office. What are the things down there that I've observed over the time? Lucky, I would want to tell you one thing. It's not about the small or bad roads. It's not about the so many things that we're actually talking about. But it is about going back to the basics. Going back to the basics. I want to tell you, the past 1.5 weeks through now, there is a campaign, there have been a number of campaigns. We're talking about the Omuntu Wawansi. And these campaigns are on borders. Week 1 was reflector jackets. Every border is required to have a reflector jacket, be it day or night, as long as they're on the road. This week is the driver license. They find you without one, they get you. These are good things, but look, have you wondered why a border guy only puts on their helmet after noticing that the traffic officers are ahead? Just like Joe said, in our other interview, they think this helmet is for the police. When you ask them about the importance of the reflector jackets, they say, our Uganda, now someone brought a container of those reflectors and now they're there, now they're creating market for them. Everything is for something. We need to get back to the basics. And this simply tells you, did you also notice that in our primary school days, we used to have road safety messages on our books? We used to have road safety education. Look left, look right, then left, then do not run. Those things are not there anymore. The people are now rushing to have the licenses. They're not educated. While we were in Bale, there were 2 border men and they were called upon to come and do some business. Then I shouted to him, "Great, why are you not putting on your helmet?" The man plainly responded, "Yachi, what is it for?" People don't know. So Omuntu Wawansi, what I noticed is we need to push government on education. We are continuing to sell the licenses, but the quality of drivers that we have is bad. Yes, they have the card, but then what they have on the card is not rhyming with what they're doing on the road. We need to tell these people that this is for them. We need to educate people more. We need to tell them, it's not a matter of collecting the revenue, because they go, "Oh yes, we have money to make sure that many borders now, this number has the cards," but do they understand what they have? So what I noticed is we need to go back down there and educate the people. Me and Joe, as we're trying to interact with people on the road, we met a number of school goers, and they don't know anything about which side of the road to walk to. They were not told, they are not told. I think we have to bring it as a curriculum, part of curriculum. Road safety is such a big thing that it has to come back to curriculum. People have to be examined right from school. And I think it has to come in as a way of acquiring your driver license, because people are blink. They don't know anything about the road. Here with me is convention, and road signs and signals is a 1968 convention. People have to be taught. It has to come into the education system. And I don't know how Joe is going to do this, but once we meet with those parliamentarians or policymakers or whoever cares to listen, road safety education is supposed to be a must. Because if we keep saying it's everyone's responsibility, in order for you not to engage with this vehicle, you need to walk on the right side. You need to be reflectively seen. You need to do this. You need to do this. Help the driver. And you're doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. It's your children's education. And that is it, Lucky, road safety education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joel. You reminded me of the great hashtag, too young to die. Joe Walker, I do understand on your campaign, you reach out to schools, you get to interact with young children, and then you came up with the hashtag, too young to die. What has been your experience with the young generation so far on the road?
Before I come to the young generation and that experience, I just a small addition to what Joe said, and our interaction with the border guys. Their biggest complaint about the driving permit is not that they need to go to a driving school, and learn how to ride. No, most of them actually they confess they've never been to any, and that's in Ginger and in Bari, and even others that we chatted with along the road. They've never been to any driving school. So, and their question is the government just wants to extract money out of them, not that they need to have the right skills to be on the road. So it's a huge one, given how many numbers of border riders we have, and all of them, their eyes are fixed on the cost, not the fact that they need the skills. So, too young to die. Look, the numbers just stand anywhere. Globally, we lose the biggest number of victims of road crashes are people below 16 years. In Uganda, it's not any different. The majority, up to 60% of the victims of road crashes are under 60, are under 44 years of age. So if you look at all the people who are on this conversation, apart from me, all of you guys are below 44, and your life is just starting. Others are hitting the peak of their career. That's too young to die. I can't start reciting again the families which have lost their young ones in road crashes. So, and as Joel put it, you go to schools, road safety has just been, I wouldn't say has been shelved, has been completely forgotten. You saw the experience we had at Ginger SS. The guys really don't know the basics. So we need to go back to the basics, go back to when we are teaching people, look left, look right, left again, and then cross the road. And then we need to make sure we are examples, good examples for them when we are driving around schools. We need to respect school zones. We need to drive properly and teach kids that, when you're in the car, remember to buckle up. I mean the seatbelt, what we call a seatbelt. And then when you're a kid and you are below 16, you need to be in the back seat, not in the front seat. And if you must really sit in the front seat and you are a kid, you are below 12 years, you need that the seat for the kids to make sure you are safe. And even that seat, how it should be pressed in the car. So many things. You see many people driving in their cars, their parent has a seatbelt on because the police will arrest them. And then they go ahead and they have the kid in the front seat and no seatbelt. Sorry, I just banged my head because it's just madness. So it's all those things that you look at. You look at the parent is seated in the car with their kids, and then they are driving, they're on the phone, they are texting, what are you teaching our kids? The kids belong to the government. What are you teaching our kids? And you know what I'm saying, our kids, because I'm part of the government. I'm a Ugandan. And I may not be in power, but I'm part of Uganda. So it's so many things that you see and you, yeah, we need to go back and take this education, not just honor in the curriculum, but moderate and make it part of the school assembly, you know, the things we used to recite. Put it in the presence of kids, put it in their eyes, make it part of the school infrastructure, you know, the roads in the school, mark them properly. Teach people how to conduct themselves on the road. Show them, you know, and when you show them, go ahead and moderate. I can go on and on and on and on. Yeah, but yeah, it needs to be done and needs to be done yesterday.
Okay, thank you so much. And just before you go off, Joe Walker, how do you see your campaign in the next 5 years down the road? I understand that next year, the team is heading to Fort Portal. How can the public also join you? Thank you.
Well, I don't see the Joe Walker campaign 5 years down the road. We move one step at a time. I did not know how the journey would end in Mbale, but we just needed to start in Kampala. So likewise, I don't know how next year will be. I don't know how this year will end. But what we need to do, whether we are here to work next year, whether we are not working tomorrow, we just need to make sure today the step we take, wherever we are going, it's the right step. If you are stepping on that accelerator of the car, make sure you do the right step on the accelerator. If you're going to drive to the shopping mall, if you're driving or going out to work, make sure you make the right step. So what we are doing is make sure we keep driving the message of every step you make sure it's the right step in the right direction, respecting every road user, being considerate, protecting the pedestrians. And, you know, because if you look the numbers, you know, pedestrians are killed by cars. Most of the pedestrians really don't have much say on the cars and how they are driven on the road. Pedestrians are killed by drivers in cars. They are killed by motorists on their motorcycles. They are killed because they are walking and competing for space on the squeezed road with vehicles. So we need to take care of everybody on the road and everyone in whatever they are doing today. Just make the right step. If you're supervising road construction, make the right step. If you're making a decision on the road to be constructed, make the right step. We don't have to look for 5 years down the road. We just have to make sure we make the right step today. If we make the right step today, 5 years down the road, we'll be all moving in the right direction and moving safely.
Oh, thank you so much, Joseph Beyanga, AKA Joe Walker. Andrew, let me come to you. From your experience, even right now you are on the road running or walking, what should we all do to ensure that the roads are safe for everyone to use? Andrew.
Thank you, Lucky. I actually had to stop. I'm at a colleague, Mark Sally's joint, to just finish this call and also buy some refreshments. What can we do to ensure that we improve road safety? One, it starts with everyone individually. It starts with you, it starts with me, it starts with the pedestrian, it starts with the driver. And of course, at the end of the day, it goes down to the people who are in charge of ensuring that we have the right, you know, walkways, the right roads, and also making sure the implementation of actual road rules is done by the traffic officers. So everyone takes responsibility. Yes, the roads may not be expanded tomorrow, but what can change today is me keeping my lane, is me not overtaking when I shouldn't do and where I shouldn't. It's me, the pedestrian, also to not just enter the road as I'm crossing. I need to be aware of my surroundings. It's about everyone taking care of their next neighbor. Like Joel and Joe said, that other person in danger could be your son, could be your brother, could be your sister, could actually be you. So take responsibility. It's what you can do where you are by yourself, and then the rest can come in place. There are things we may not control today, but there are things we much can control. And those are the things whereby you take personal responsibility first, as we continue carrying the message to the people who actually collect our taxes and who lay out policies and who formulate the laws. Those, we shall continue advocating for them, but let's play our role. And I'm going to request to go off. I really enjoyed the discussion. Yes.
So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Joel, I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Going forward, what should the fellow pedestrian do to ensure, or another road user, to ensure that we have safe roads for everyone?
Yeah, thank you so much. It is very important. I remember a few years ago, about 2 years ago, we have what we call our annual road safety weeks, events, and that is a road safety week. And we usually run on themes. Today or right now, we are running for border borders. We are talking about border borders, but one of our themes a few years ago was think everyone is a pedestrian. At some point, every one of us is a pedestrian for some reason. Because when you choose, yesterday I took a small film of Joe walking. You see, he was not walking, he's not a pedestrian because he can't afford a car. But every one of us, when you leave your car and you're crossing to that supermarket, you are a pedestrian. Every one of us needs the education. Every one of us needs to know. Because you can't think for a situation you don't know about. So I'm urging the people in authority, whoever can, I'm urging Joe, the next push, let us push the people in authority. They need to be a part of these campaigns because we are supplementing what they're supposed to be doing. We're not funded, but they should energize these campaigns. People need to know it's not someone else's task. It is your task to be cautious, to be on high alert. Everyone needs road safety education. You need, in editing, in film, we say in order for you to be a good director, you need to be a good cameraman, you need to be a good photographer, you need to be a good sound operator, you need to be, because you are putting yourself in that position. So every road user, every pedestrian needs to know what that car is thinking, what that walker is thinking. And they should always be reminded that they are the wisest of every other person around using the road. So everyone needs road safety education, is what I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joel. That was elaborate. And I believe all of the viewers of the Civic Space TV are following and they are taking caution. I will end by saying this: whenever you step out of your house, of your home, of your residence, wherever you are, please endeavor that you return alive. And that way, you would do that by ensuring that your fellow road users are safe and yourself are safe. So road safety is our responsibility. We are all concerned and we need to take caution. We don't have to wait for Joe Walker to first sound an alarm, I'll call it an alarm, for us to make sure we have safe roads. But remember, if we make our roads safe, our lives too will be safe. And our families will be safe. Everyone will be safe. And we'll have a happy nation, actually. And we will live to see great things. Always remember, you are too young to die. And road safety is your responsibility. Thank you. See you again.